Hello and welcome to this B1 Usability Package e-learning session. My name is Rasmus Jensen and the topic of this session is B1 time task, where we're looking into billing the tasks. So in the previous sessions we have created tasks and we have made our registrations on them. So we actually made our work. So now comes our final step in time task, which is actually doing the billing of the work we have done to the customer. The actual billing is happening from B1 time task, billing the billing wizard. So let's go through how the billing will happen for the different dates here. We had two tasks, task 8 and 9, and we have all made them within this date range. You can of course specify the date range where you want to actually bill from. And another filter could be that if you only want to actually bill for a specific customer or bill the work of a specific employee, you have the option to do that. But most people just run all customers or all employees. So let's try to search and see what actually happens in the system. So we found that we need to do one document to Norm Thompson. Given that both tasks are to Norm Thompson, that makes sense. We have the option to include it or not. If we don't include it, it will not be taken along into the billing wizard this time. We have the option to take what is our target, should it be an invoice or just a delivery, and we have the option to say should it be a draft or not. If you click the single line, you will see what actually goes into the system. And here you might be confused because you see two lines for task 8, which was our hourly rate. We have a quantity of 100, but the 100 actually came from transportation. As you can see in the remarks, it's transportation. And our hours was 3.5, which is the combined total of all the registration we made in the system. Different remarks are down here, but we also log some time on task number 9. So what can be wrong? Let's have a look at task number 9 in order to see it. And the first problem we see here is we have our task status set to open but not ready for billing. And this is the reason why we don't get it in the system right now. So if we say change now, we are now completed with this task, so we change the status, and if we do a new search, we will now see that both task 9 and task 8 came along. In terms of task 9, it was linked to our sales order, and in the previous session I talked about our delivery date actually having meaning. So if I put this delivery date in the future, 1 year in the future here, it would not come along either. So if we do this, you will see task 9 is not along as long as today's date is not higher or the same as the one having on the delivery date. So if you're missing some data, you might need to look at the delivery date for the sales order. In this case, we just want everything to be built. So we take along every single thing, and you have the option to choose to change the quantity if you want, and remarks. Similar, it could be that some of this should not come along in the system right now. So you have the option to say, I don't want to include this line, or I don't want to include this line anymore at all. So you have the option to do a little modifications before we actually do the billing. So we are now ready for the billing, and that is done in the second step, where we need to choose what date our target documents, in this case invoices, should be. It defaults to the default date, but you can set it at any date in the past or in the future. And the option to say, should we open the document printing later on, so we can actually print out the documents or use B1 print and delivery to deliver the invoices. I press create documents and let's see what happens. So the system comes up and say we need to create one document, and are we ready to do that? In this case, yeah, we are ready, so let's say yes. And the invoicing is running. So invoicing is done. We have created one document. If we had more invoices, of course, business partners needing data, we would of course have had multiple documents. In our case, we only got one single document, and let's quickly review it. So we got 3 lines, all from different time registrations, all for different tasks. The 2 lines here was linked to task ID 8, while our first registration was to task ID 9. We can also see which time registrations it was actually on. So it was time registration 5 and 6 going into this, 4, 7 and 8 going into the other one. And we had the external remarks, as you can use in your Crystal report. Things like dimensions and profit centers projects will come along as well, either from the task or from the sales order. Because if you look at this AR invoice, you can actually see it's linked to a base document. And that's because the first line was linked to task number 9, which was a sales order. So if we try to look at the sales order, we can now see that the sales order line is actually closed because we delivered every single item of it. If it's a fixed price, it will just be closed down. If it's hourly rate, you will actually be able to invoice along and not have any base document if needed. And when all lines on the sales order are gone, of course, it will be closed as well. If we had only delivered partly of that, in this case it was fixed price, so you would deliver everything, but if you only delivered part of it in hourly rates, it would have been not the entire quantity, and you would still haven't had an open quantity that you could bill on later. So the entire flow is here with the sales orders if needed, and for the business partners it's just simple lines coming along to the documents. In the billing wizards, we don't have any more to bill until the next time we actually have some data. In terms of the tasks, we can see that because we invoiced the entire document of 3,000, the server installation automatically closed. We can reopen it if we want to, but it's not recommended. It's better to create a new task, but it is possible. And in terms of the others, we actually built, we had our build amount, but it's still open because we have not told the system that we are ready for our installation, and in our case we have actually not built enough hours yet. So this is the billing wizard, where you simply just search, choose what you want to have in the system, and create your documents, and they are ready for shipping on to the next part of your process. This concludes this session. For training material, please go to service.boyum-it.com/education, or if you want a free demo of the product, go to license.boyum-it.com/b1up. If you want to contact us, you can do it either by our sales email or our support email. Thank you for attending.